The Rochdale child sex abuse ring involved underage teenage girls in Rochdale, Greater Manchester, England. 9 men were convicted of sex trafficking and other offences including rape, trafficking girls for sex, and conspiracy to engage in sexual activity with a child in May 2012. This resulted in Greater Manchester Police launching Operation Doublet to investigate further claims of abuse, with 19 men so far being convicted. 47 girls were identified as victims of child sexual exploitation during the police investigation. The men were British Pakistanis, which led to discussion on whether the failure to investigate them was linked to the authorities' fear of being accused of racial prejudice. The girls were mainly white British. In March 2015, Greater Manchester Police apologised for its failure to investigate the child sexual exploitation allegations more thoroughly between 2008 and 2010. So a few days ago, The Independent had an article concerning the Rochdale child rape gang, and I will link it below. 3 members of a Rochdale grooming gang remain in the UK more than 18 months after they lost an appeal against losing their British citizenship, it has emerged. Victims of Aziz, Khan and Ralph have reported recent sightings of the men in the Greater Manchester area. The trio have been able to return to the town where they committed years of horrific abuse after being released from prison. Khan got an underage victim pregnant while he was in his 40s, while Aziz and Ralph trafficked the teenage girls for sex in their taxis. One of the prosecutors who brought charges against the Rochdale grooming gang said victims had informed him of several sightings of all 3 men since Christmas. This is our UK authorities allowing this to happen. Why are they still here? These vile gang child rapists are being allowed to continue the mental abuse of their victims by our authorities. Nazir Afzal, OBE, the former Chief Crown Prosecutor for North West England, told The Independent, "Given the zeal with which the Home Office is dealing with offenders with Jamaican roots, I and the victims and their families are somewhat surprised that these men continue to walk the streets of Rochdale and keep running into those whom they abused." Having read that one of the deportees to Jamaica was only convicted of dangerous driving, one has to ask if driving a car erratically is viewed more dangerous and more of a priority than a man who sexually abuses children. When it comes to this issue, yes. Telford have child sexual abuse complaints dating back 40 years. Islam is only part of this problem. The other part is our UK public authorities. The Home Office announced its intention to remove the men's British citizenship in July 2015, saying the move was in the public interest because of their serious and organised offences. So this was back in 2015. It's now 2020. It shows how much the Home Office cares about public interest. Aziz, Khan and Ralph launched a legal challenge but lost the case at the Court of Appeal in August 2018, paving the way for them to be deported to Pakistan. Why were they even given an appeal? They raped children. That should be an instant deportation, in my opinion. The court heard that the 3 convicts were dual nationals, having moved to the UK from Pakistan but become naturalised British citizens. Each of them challenged the decision, arguing it amounted to a breach of their human rights and interests of their children, but their cases were rejected by both the government's First Tier Tribunal, the FTT, and Upper Tribunal. Human rights. How the fuck can they claim this? You rape children. You ain't fucking human. Lord Justice Sales said, All the men treated the girls as though they were worthless and beyond all respect. They were motivated by lust and greed. No, they were motivated by Islam. They were jailed in 2012 as part of a gang who plied girls as young as 13 with drink and drugs and passed them around for sex. Aziz, a taxi driver known as the Master, was a leading member of the group and was given a 9-year sentence for trafficking a 15-year-old girl for sex and conspiracy to engage in sexual activity with a child. He was married with 3 children at the time of the abuse. Khan, also a taxi driver, received 8 years for conspiracy and trafficking a 13-year-old girl who became pregnant with his child when he was in his 40s. He also targeted a 15-year-old girl and physically abused her when she complained about her treatment. Ralph, a married taxi driver with 5 children, was handed 6 years for trafficking a teenage girl and conspiracy to engage in sexual activity with a child, after driving one victim to locations where she had sex with him and others up to 20 times. A Home Office spokesperson added, "The government will do everything within its power to deport those who have no right to remain in the UK." "5 years later and still no deportation. How can you expect the public to believe anything you say?" To anybody not woke up to the situation out there, these grooming gangs, child rape gangs, are only part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that our government, past and present, councils, social services, police forces, media and the CPS are all complicit in allowing these vile fucking pedo gangs to operate in plain sight. It has become plain to see that people in these public authorities are complicit in the wide-scale assaults on young children. Heads should roll in all these failed public authorities. As a father, I feel that it is every parent's duty to sign this petition and share it the length and width of the country. Link in description. Thanks for watching. I am Judd GES-AREBENT. Like, share, comment and subscribe.
They are connected in one important sense. They are bound together by the single evil ideology of Islamist extremism that preaches hatred, sows division, and promotes sectarianism. It is an ideology that claims our Western values of freedom, democracy, and human rights are incompatible with the religion of Islam. It will only be defeated when we turn people's minds away and make them understand that our values, pluralistic British values, are superior to anything offered by the preachers and supporters of hate.